creatives, in this edition of Fashion Friday, we will be talking to 3 fashion models about fear, love, modeling, and what you should think when you see them at first sight. Stick around. Creators, my name is Skye Lucking, host of Courageous Creatives, the YouTube channel that elevates you to your highest self using inspiration, education, courage building, and community. Today I'll be speaking with 3 fashion models that I had a chance to interview at the behind the scenes event. It was an amazing event and I did a video about that you can click on right here. The models that I'm interviewing are Ashlee McKenna, Britney Phillips, and Chelan Hawk. They have some terrific and inspiring and profound things to say about fear, about modeling, about love. Let's check it out.
My name is Ashlee McKenna.
I'm Chelan Hawk Schumacher. I do like going by Hawk. It's my middle name.
Okay.
My name is Britney Phillips.
So I've noticed that a lot of people, once they notice that someone is beautiful, not that I would say that about myself, but once they notice that, they kind of just assume, oh, she's probably just awful. She probably has the worst attitude. She's probably just so snobby. And I just want them to know that if you get to know us models out there, that we're actually good people. We just look like we have, you know, a RBF. Just completely straight-faced all the time, hating everyone. But we love everyone. We love everyone. And it's a hard thing to get through the modeling field without getting close to people. So I've become great friends with most of the models I'm around because they are just awesome people. Deep down, their personalities are just amazing, and you just have to dig to find them.
I'm just, as far as that's concerned, I mean, I'm a real person, so I feel people should feel like they can trust me and that I'm gonna, you know, have your back in any situation. So just super down to earth and smart, I suppose. Never want to come off as ignorant. So that's something I feel I'd like people to know about me at first sight, but people are judgmental. You never know what their impressions are of people, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really loving. So, like, I feel the love in the room, basically. The vibes, I'll say. A smile is everything. So if you can give someone a smile, then of course you'll reach them and, you know, you'll feel love there. So I think that's most important. You know, just as far as just with people in a room and, like, doing that.
So I've been drawing since I was a kid. Mostly it was start off with pencil, as it usually does, but it developed into inking and such, which is my favorite thing to do, which you just take straight black ink on white paper and you just all black and white. So I do a lot of black and white inking. And then as far as metal work, I'm still working working on how that's done, because metalwork and metallurgy and all that is a very complicated process depending on the metals and what you're doing. But yeah, I made my own forge and smelter and have been pouring aluminum pretty much and melting down aluminum to try to make things like paperweights and other sort of sculptures, even working on a Pegasus soon, so we'll see how that turns out. I've been a poet for a while, ever since I read Where the Sidewalk Ends, so, which is a classic, but it was quite inspiring, and from then I've been just doing poetry since then. Off and on in songwriting as well, but I haven't made any songs yet, so that's still something I'm working on. I'm pushing to be a musician, so learning how that entire industry works, and it's super awesome. I've also written novellas, or novels, small books, and which I haven't published yet, but they're all backed up, so I enjoy writing. It's one of the things I do best as far as art, so.
I work actually for taxes. It's the taxes season, so it's just the best opportunity to make a lot of money and help all of our taxpayers who are actually in effect, because there's a lot of different things going on in our government and our world, and I just want to be a part of like a big impact with whatever I'm doing. So if I'm not here, or if I'm at home, I'm with children, or I'm at work, I'm working with people and helping them get everything going for their lives. So I just want to be a helper, that's all.
I actually am going to school to be a vet. I've always loved animals. We actually have 3 dogs right now. We had 5 probably a couple months ago. We actually had to put our 2 dogs down, which was the worst thing in the world. But I love school. I absolutely love it. I would put that over anything out there, work, anything. It's learning something new almost every day that kind of keeps you just driven. I love learning, and I'm excited for my future with being a vet and being able to help animals that can't really help themselves.
I am. Yes, I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years now, so we're doing pretty good.
Once upon a time, perhaps, not anymore.
No, just kidding. I'm in love with my dog. So, quick story. My dog's name is King Henry. He is a black lab. He actually started graying when he was like 2 years old, and he is my old man, my fake old man. I go home and he just loses his mind. He gets so happy, which makes me happy, and then I can just spend all day just snuggling with him. I got a tattoo actually for him because that's how much I love my dog. If you look at my Instagram, it's mostly pictures of him. I'm not gonna lie. I spend hours just taking pictures of him, and he hates it, but he loves me, so he just kind of deals with it.
I was 5. It was actually I was into pageants. I was a pageant girl, and I was just doing it, and I would get paid, and so it was a lot. But it was my mother, more so so she was my career guide, and I was only so young, so it was really, really fun. I was 5. I was pageanting. What talent that I did, I don't know.
I accompanied my sister to a designer audition for fashion design, and they asked me to audition as to be a model, and then that's where I am today. So I've been practicing my modeling for not too long, about a couple months, about 4 or 5 months, so it's been pretty awesome. I've already been in 3 shows, and we'll be continuing. I have many more shows in the future, actually. I really do enjoy the modeling and the people I've met and worked with. Just the networking itself is a valuable resource for modeling, but it's just super awesome. I'm enjoying it immensely.
I was terrified the first time I did the runway modeling show. Always what's flashing through your mind is I'm gonna trip and fall on my face and everyone's gonna laugh at me. And actually the first person I modeled for, his name is Alexander Sanchez, and he's still one of my best friends. So we created a great bond, and he always put me in things that were literally they had 10-foot trains. He was just like, oh, you can do it. You don't even have to worry about it. And so I had to try to figure out how I'm going to do this without falling on my face. So he pushed me. He really pushed me, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever gone through. It still is to this day going out. I get shaky and nervous, but it's a great experience. I was probably around 13 years old. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think modeling is for those people out there who, well, at least for me, aren't much talkers. I mean, obviously I'm talking right now, but like there's acting and things like that. This is more showing other people's things, but being able to be that art form in order to put it on. Obviously designers could show their stuff, but if they don't have the models, it isn't going to take full form. So I believe it is truly an art form. Absolutely.
I do. Because fashion and what we wear and clothes are not so important, because we don't want to think that it's too important, but as far as the fashion industry and the ethic that it brings, and the way that fashion goes into with education, like that's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Fear's a big part of any transformational growth or changing industries, especially for this one. I'm actually quite an introvert and a bit shy, so becoming a model, and because jiu-jitsu and fighting and modeling are two very different things as far as exposure. You may go out in front of a crowd and fight people, but you're not worried about every little nuance of how you look or your appearance or clothes and trying to portray yourself perfectly. You're more about, concerned about winning the fight and executing techniques. So for me, that was a big fear, even putting myself in front of a camera. But if you're afraid to fall, you're never gonna fly. So it was just a stepping stone for me. And like anyone, I've never been shy of fear, but it's always been something difficult to overcome, especially shyness. And it's always been, fear tends to lend its way to frustration. So it always turns into frustration when you're scared of something and you want to be somewhere, but you can't because you have to overcome a fear, and then you just get frustrated with it, and then you just kind of either fade out or let go of that. But in my opinion, like I said, if you're afraid to fall, you're not going to fly. So you always must overcome those fears and try to climb and just find your way through it and figure out a way to overcome it, because otherwise you're just not going to get where you want to be, because that's how fear works. It's an obstacle. But yeah, that's how I face fear.
Personally, I deal with the fear by just jumping in. I can't just stand there and be nervous. I just have to go. So while I'm standing there in line waiting to walk the runway on my own, obviously it's just me out there. There's no one protecting me. I'm on my own, and I just have to go. I can't stop and wait. It's just jumping right in and just going for it, and it usually always turns out great.
Okay, fear. One thing Ellen does recognize of me is that I'm very nervous. And it's true, because it's something that I am new to. Just as far as reaching out and like showing myself, I'm presenting my body, my looks, so it's just like, that's all I have. Like, that's just what we all have as far as models in the industry. And, just gaining that confidence of showing yourself completely off and being very, very owning yourself. Like, that's a big thing. Because a lot of people, they will either look in, or either, they're inspired and they're admiring you, or, for you, it's like, so it's something. I'm learning though.
I would tell my younger self that I can absolutely do it. I actually am not modeling as much as I wanted to, so I actually stopped for a while, and I wish I wouldn't have done that, just because it is, now that I'm older, it's so hard to get back into it. It's kind of like a dog-eat-dog world. You just have to go and keep going and keep going, and if you stop, it kind of just stops altogether. Luckily, I have my mom, and she actually is starting to get me back into it, and I'm enjoying it much more than I did back in the day when all of the other models were probably like 12 or 13 years older than me, and I was kind of standing there and they were just kind of towering over me with at least the personality, and I just kind of was the small fish in the big pond. But now I can be one of the big fish, and I like that thought. I really do.
Yeah, even at the beginning of my teenage years, I've always had a sense of fashion and style, and always very appreciated just people looking good and just that entire aspect. Not so much from pop culture, which is where that sense or awareness comes from, but just overall, I just like cool clothes and people looking good. And as that further developed, and I started character development, obviously, in my novels and poetry, that I would drop clothing on them that I thought was fitting or more suitable for their character, and then it started to just kind of overlay into life itself. So as I'd see people, and I would think of clothing or things that I felt that would fit their character more than what they were already doing. So
modeling. Okay, so I've always done it all my life. I recently connected with Ellen Dan, and she is Tiger Lily dress shop owner. I did one show for her with Brave Wings fashion show by Genesis, and literally we connected, and she just gave me so many great opportunities to be a model and work with fashion, and just all of these different hallways with being a creative person, and like you said, being beautiful. It's more than just the look. It's really about the feel, and she really connected with me so much to where I gained confidence with this, and I actually have a drive, so it's pretty nice. She was my inspiration definitely.
Thank you so much, Ashlee, Britney, and Hawk. I thoroughly enjoyed interviewing with you. You are truly beautiful people. If you would like to learn more about Arizona fashion or fashion in general, please click the subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification so you never miss a video. Britney mentioned Ellen Diane. I have a video interview with her, as well as a video about the behind the scenes event where a lot of the modeling footage in this video was taken. Check those out. Also, come back every Friday for Fashion Friday. We'll be talking about fashion movies, fashion events, fashion models, fashion designers. It is going to be a great time. The information that I have for these models is in the description below. Go check them out. And remember, you are courageous.